Today, we are diving into something huge that's been happening in the US economy. Something that, honestly, nobody really saw coming. A massive, record-breaking surge in new businesses.
So let me just ask you a question to kick things off. When a massive global crisis hits, say a pandemic, what do you think happens to the number of people starting new businesses? I mean, logic would tell you it would grind to a halt, right? People are going to play it safe, hold on to their cash. But what if the exact opposite happened?
You have to see this to believe it. Since early 2020, the average number of new business applications filed every single month has skyrocketed by nearly 60%. We're talking a jump from around 270,000 a month to over 430,000. It is by far the biggest explosion of entrepreneurship we've seen in more than a decade, and it happened during one of the most uncertain times imaginable.
But, to really get what's going on here, we have to look a little deeper than just that big, flashy number. Because it turns out, not all startups are the same, not by a long shot. The real question we need to ask is, what kind of businesses are we actually talking about?
Luckily, the US Census Bureau gives us a tool to do just that. They have this really specific category called a high-propensity business application. Basically, it's a fancy way of saying this is a startup that checks a box saying, yes, we plan to hire employees and run a payroll. This is super important because it's how we can tell the difference between a company that's built to create jobs versus, say, a one-person side hustle.
And this is where the story takes a fascinating turn. Because even though the total number of applications is way, way up, the proportion of those high-propensity, job-creating startups has actually plummeted. If you look back to 2005, they made up a solid 58% of all new applications. Today, that number's down to just 36%.
So what you're seeing here are two completely different stories of entrepreneurship. On one side, you have the gig workers, the freelancers, the sole proprietors, and they are the ones driving almost this entire boom. And on the other side, you've got those traditional job-creating businesses. This whole pandemic startup surge, it's overwhelmingly the story of that first group.
Okay, so if this massive wave of new businesses isn't really about creating jobs for other people, then what is it about? Well, that's where we get to the really human part of this story, the forces that are pushing this completely new kind of entrepreneur.
It's kind of like a perfect storm of different factors all coming together at once. You've got technology, right? E-commerce platforms make it easier than ever to start something from your living room. Then there's this huge cultural shift where everyone wants more flexibility. On the money side, stimulus checks and rising home values gave a lot of people a little safety net to experiment. And you see it across the board demographically, from retirees starting a consulting gig to young people who just aren't interested in the old 9-to-5 career path.
And this quote here from the SCORE Association just nails the new mindset perfectly. It's not about the old movie trope of quitting your job in a blaze of glory to chase a dream. No, for millions of people, it's about starting something on the side. It's about testing an idea, building it slowly, all while you've got the security of your day job. It's a much smarter, lower-risk way to become your own boss.
So, hearing all this, you might be thinking, maybe I could do something like that. And if you are, you're definitely not alone. The great thing is, there's a proven way to join this movement without taking a huge, scary leap. So we've put together a blueprint.
Let's actually walk through it. Think of this as your practical, step-by-step guide if you're feeling inspired by this new world of work, a way to get your own thing started while you're still employed.
Okay, phase 1. It's simple. Get ready. This is all the prep work, all the thinking and planning you do before you ever launch a website or try to make a sale. This is the foundation, and getting it right is everything. And it really comes down to 4 key things. First, pick a business that actually fits you, your skills, your passions. Second, write a business plan. And listen, this doesn't have to be some 50-page monster document, just a simple roadmap. Third, get honest about the finances. What will it cost to start, to run? And finally, figure out how you're actually going to reach people, your marketing.
All right, once that foundation is in place, you move to phase 2, get set. This is where the idea you have on paper starts to become a real, living, breathing business. You're bridging the gap from plan to reality.
So in this phase, you're handling the nuts and bolts. You got to know the rules for things like licenses and taxes in your area. You want to invest a little in your image, look professional. Then comes the big one. Go find those first few customers. And maybe the most critical piece of all, especially with a day job, is you have to be relentless about managing your time and your energy so you don't burn out.
So when you take a step back and put all these pieces together,
the data, this new kind of entrepreneur, the blueprint, you start to see something much, much bigger than just a temporary spike on a chart. You might be looking at the future of work itself.
Because at the end of the day, this whole startup surge isn't just a blip. It feels like a deep, fundamental shift in how millions of us think about our careers, how we earn a living, and what economic freedom really means to us.
And that really leaves us all with one final question to think about. This boom is happening right now, and it's rewriting our relationship with work in real time. It's creating this new landscape of side hustlers and solopreneurs and step-by-step founders. So the only question left is, what role are you going to play in it?